I think we need Taco Bell's Canon and D.
Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Namakwa Unitarian Universalist Congregation. We are a people who know we do not need to think alike to love alike. My name is Laurel Liefert, and I serve as the minister of this warm, welcoming, justice-seeking community, and I am honored to do so. Whoever you are, whomever you love, you are welcome in this intentionally inclusive community. And I wonder if we have any first-time visitors, and if so, if you'd like to unmute and introduce yourself. And if you would like to receive more information about Namaqua, please chat your contact information or put your contact information in the chat room. So we're still in the time of the pandemic, unfortunately, but that's why we could all gather together here virtually. Sarah Suriani, once again, is our faithful Zoomer, and she will be recording our service today and post it on the website. And I wanted to introduce, for a special announcement today, Arthur Goldspipe. So unmute and let us know the good news.
Hi, I'm Arthur Goldspipe. I'm a member of the Social Justice Ministry, and I wanted to give you an update on this year's Giving Tree. Since we can't have a physical tree this year, we decided to do a virtual fundraiser instead, and we're splitting donations equally across 3 organizations. First, the Food Bank for Larimer County, which provides food to an estimated 37,500 people in need. Second, Neighbor to Neighbor, which prevents homelessness for 500 Larimer households each year, prevents foreclosure for 90% of cases, maintains affordable apartments, and provides education about home ownership. And third, Alternatives to Violence, which provides shelter, advocacy, education, and resources for people impacted by domestic violence, sexual assault, and human trafficking. So as of Thursday, we've received $3,343 in donations. I'm humbled by your generosity. But if you haven't donated yet, there's still time. The Giving Tree is listed as an option when you give online to NUUC. You can also mail a check. I'll provide more information about these options in the chat window.
That's just great. Thank you to Arthur and all of you who sent out the letters of solicitation, and then all of you who have donated so generously. So, you know, if this were normal times, we would have a beautiful Christmas tree up in our chancel, and we'd be singing, "Oh, giving tree, and you would parade up. But actually, this is, I think, maybe one of the most successful giving trees we've had already. So something magic is going on in this season of giving. So thank you all. And now I'll turn it over to Mim, our worship associate today, for the chalice lighting.
Good morning. I'm going to light the chalice and then read something absolutely wondrous by Rebecca Parker. Hang on. So I'm not very high tech. Perhaps for a moment, the typewriters will stop clicking. The wheels stop rolling. The computers desist from computing. And a hush will fall over the city. For an instant, in the stillness, the chiming of the celestial spheres will be heard, stunned to stillness by beauty. We remember who we are and why we are here. Come, let us worship together. And I think Sarah's going to put the congregational affirmation on the screen. Join in with me. Love is the spirit of this church, and service its call. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
Find a stillness, all the
Last Sunday, my son Marcus and I did a service on stillness and waiting. And Marcus reminded me of what he used for the end of his sermon, which today I would like to use for our time for centering. So this is based on Psalm 46, and it's often used by chaplains in both hospital, prison settings to help find that place of stillness. So if you wouldn't mind taking a couple of deep breaths, breathing in through your nose and out through your mouth. And then just breathing normally. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am. Be still and know. Be still. Be. Another deep breath.
Silence. In the silence, I can hear the waves crashing and the wind playing with my kite. At night, I can hear what the stars tell me, and in the morning, what the birds say. When I listen, I can hear my feet when dancing, my heart when running, my legs when swimming, my breath when still. In spring, I can hear bees loving flowers. In summer, trees chattering. In fall, leaves tumbling. In winter, snow twinkling. Be still. Listen. How many things can you hear?
Thanks to little Joanna Miller Mutia. For joys and sorrows today, I have no bowl to drop our pebbles in. And I really loved the candle lighting that the Marin UU Church used. I wish we could figure out a way to do that. But today, let's just use our imagination. And for every person who shares a joy or sorrow, let's imagine a candle is lit so that we can embrace in our community and send comfort to people who are in pain and celebrate with those who have joys. And so today, let's go ahead and if you want to speak, either put your name in the chat box or raise your hand and either I will see you or one of your fellow congregants will see you and let me know. So Jennifer Klein, unmute.
Sorry.
Okay.
Both my brother and sister-in-law in North Carolina have COVID. They're home with COVID, and she's not doing very well. She's got the anyway, I just want some prayers for them.
Sorry. Thank you, Jennifer.
She's got the what, Jennifer?
She's got COVID.
But she said extra, a different kind of COVID or something.
She also has a serious sinus infection. And they don't know if she got exposed to COVID in the doctor's office when she went in and then gave it to my brother.
And Karen and Steve Dornsife announced unbelievably that Kaylee, their granddaughter, is 15 years old this Friday. So Steve and Karen, make sure that you tell her happy birthday from us.
Laurel, Tig, and then Curtis and Donna have their hands raised.
Okay. And Margot had a very tender loss. Their family was super close to her husband, Tim's grandmother, who passed away. And they weren't able to be with us last Sunday because they had a memorial service. So I'm sorry, Margot. Well, imagine another candle lit. And Tig?
Hi. So a sorrow we had was that my cousin Kelly passed away, not from COVID. She had diabetes and it was related to that. So we're mourning her loss. A joy, however, is that I have come across in my home a box of cassette tapes that I knew I had somewhere, long missing. And in that box of cassette tapes, I've found on a number of occasions, like some recordings of myself and my grandparents chatting about different things. And I was working on converting those to digital format yesterday, and it definitely brought some tears up. So it was a bittersweet joy to hear my grandparents' voices again.
Yeah, how precious. Thanks, Tig. So we'll imagine another candle lit. And who else did you say, Sarah?
Curtis and Donna.
Oh, Curtis and Donna Hope Hill.
This year started by moving my mom from Washington out to Colorado to be closer to me and my brother. And we found out last weekend that she was not doing very well at all and likely to pass on very soon. We were all able to, my brother and Donna and I were able to see her Sunday and Monday and Tuesday. And then Tuesday night, she passed on. So it's been very difficult, but she also was not doing very well at all when I last saw her. And so it's very bittersweet and dealing with the pain of loss, but also knowing that she's not in pain or discomfort anymore either.
That's really hard, Curtis, losing your mom. I'm so sorry. So imagine a candle lit and safe passage we wish to your mom, and comfort to you, Donna. Vicki Clark has said that her next door neighbor has COVID. light a candle for your neighbor. And then the Sunderlands, Liz and Ange, have canceled their visit with their daughter Ashley, Josh, and Brad are due to COVID concerns and travel. So that's their sorrow. But their joy is that Bradley has made the decision to return home to Colorado and to stay this spring and March. So that's a joy. And Fran Green's friend Sue Beck has COVID. Oh, Charles was her poet friend who just died this last summer. And Sue is at the Windsor Health Center where she's lived for about 5 years. Well, that's rough. And then Kate has a good COVID story. So we're imagining the candles lit and flickering, right? In the sand bowl. So Kate shares that her brother was released home from COVID. So he still has pockets in his lungs that are solid, but at least he's doing better. So that's good. So that's Elsa's son, reported by her daughter, Kate. Is there anybody else?
Kent had something to say, Laurel.
Kent? Can you unmute? So Kent, we know that Jenny, your wife, has been placed on hospice. And I think that your treatment is over for your prostate cancer. And I think that the people of this good community are rallying to do what we can to help and support you as you absorb the news and figure out the steps to take to move forward in your life with this new news. So Kent, we imagine a candle lit for you and for Jenny. And so Ange just suggested that if you'd like, Kent, you can type into the chat. So as we know, there are probably joys and sorrows that each of you carry in your hearts that you may feel too shy or tender to speak about. And we know that there are joys and sorrows outside our community. So we can imagine some other candles lit to represent our sending out our thoughts for healing and our love for those beyond our walls. And Atulia Kent sends you prayers. We all do. So let's end with this new litany in our joy and in our sorrow.
In our joy and in our sorrow.
We are not alone. We are not alone. So it's always good to be together. Life is easier when you don't have to do it by yourself. And so now Mim will give us a treat with her homily called Ring the Bells.
One day, when I was feeling particularly beleaguered, and it wasn't even 2020, I spotted a quatrain attributed to Leonard Cohen. Ring the bells that still can ring, forget your perfect offering. There is a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in. That struck a cold soul chord for me. It seemed to reflect the possibility of possibilities, even in the midst of all the sad and awful circumstances with which I felt besieged. I typed it up and taped it on the wall behind my computer. Later, much later, I was selected to help with the December 13th service, which my minister introduced as British-born travel writer Pico Iyer in his book, The Art of Stillness, Adventures in Going Nowhere, writes that heaven is a place where you think of nowhere else. Inspired by the lives of Leonard Cohen, Mahatma Gandhi, Marcel Proust, and Emily Dickinson, Iyer recommends the age-old practice of slowing down to discover the simple, surprising, cathartic thrills of stillness. Talk about a disparate group. I knew some of the narratives of Gandhi, Proust, and Dickinson, but I had no clues about Cohen until I remembered that he had written my soul comforting quatrain. So as I began learning how each of these people practiced stillness and thus generated wisdom and art, I began with Cohen. Born in Montreal, he toggled between Canada and California and lived for a while on Greek Island. His concert tours took him to a rainbow of destinations in Europe and the Americas. Practicing Jew, Cohen found that and followed spiritual disciplines his whole life. Someone called him the patron saint of pessimism, but his poem, song, anthem pries me open to hope. A New York Times review of holiday movies noted that because they are holiday movies, you know there will be a happy ending. I do not think Leonard Cohen necessarily believed in happy endings, at least not holiday movie happy endings. When he lived in California, he regularly spent time in a local meditation hall. He stayed 5 months in the Mount Baldy Zen Center, where he was ordained as a monk in 1976. He described the essence of Zen as vast emptiness, nothing special. Ironically, for a songwriter-singer, his Dharma name was Jikhan, meant the silent one. When he entered the deep silence of Zen meditation, he connected with tiny slivers of profundity, the light that cracks let in. I know that light, those cracks. Sometimes, when I am still enough, a thought, a phrase, an idea just manifests. It does not come in satin or crinolines or after a salute of trumpets. No technicolor finale, just a presence, something to consider. I do not believe I can explain this in any better way than to read some of the lyrics of Leonard Cohen's anthem. The birds they sang at the break of day. Start again, I heard them say. Don't dwell on what has passed away or what is yet to be. Ah, the wars, they will be fought again. The holy dove, she will be caught again, bought and sold and bought again. The dove is never free. Ring the bells that still can ring. Forget your perfect offering. There is a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in. Of course, now it is 2020, and all of us are beleaguered and have been beleaguered for months, not just with the pandemic, but also with fires and isolation and scary politics. And every day gets shorter as we approach the winter solstice. Time's winged chariot seems to have a flat tire. Where is the hope, the joy? When he was a little boy, Marcel Proust is reported to have spent an entire day looking at a rose. That's where the crack is. From my upstairs window, I look out at a tree which refuses to let go of its leaves. The sun shines through the residual foliage, and the leaves are transformed. And if I look at it long enough, if I am still enough, if I abandon all words and thoughts and just absorb the beauty of sunlight through dying leaves, the light gets into my heart. I am renewed.
The birds they sang at the break of day. Start again, I heard them say. Don't dwell on what has passed away, or what is yet to be. Yeah, the war, they will be fought again. The holy dove, she will be cut again. Bought and sold and bought again. The dove is never free. Ring the bells that still can ring. Forget your perfect offering. There is a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in. We asked for signs, the signs were sent. The birth betrayed, the marriage spent. Yeah, the widowhood of every government. Signs for all to see. I can't run no more with that lawless crowd, while the killers in high places say their prayers out loud. But they've summoned up a thundercloud. They're gonna hear from me. That still ring. Forget your perfect offering. There is a crack in everything. That's how the can strike up the march. There is no drum. Every heart to love will come, but like a refugee. Ring the bell that still can ring. Forget your perfect offering. There is a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in. Gets in. That's how the light gets in. That's how the light gets in.
The birds they sang at the break of day. Start again, I heard them say. Don't dwell on what is passed away or what is yet to be. These golden lyrics from Leonard Cohen, who is said to have spent 10 years polishing to perfection the lyrics of his songs. This lyric, don't dwell on what is passed away or what is yet to be, is another way of saying what Ram Dass wrote about in his book, Be Here Now, or Thich Nhat Hanh, present moment, wonderful moment. I think intellectually, all of us know that this is all we really have now, the present moment, be. But how can we make it real so that we can truly live our lives not in the past or in the future, but now, in this present moment, in this wonderful moment? Perhaps we can live this wonderful way by cultivating what travel writer Pico Iyer calls the art of stillness. Leonard Cohen told Iyer when he visited him in the hills of California that he finds sitting still to be, quote, real, profound, and voluptuous, delightful entertainment, end quote. And these words carry weight coming from Leonard Cohen, someone who seems to have tasted all of the pleasures that the world has to offer. And then Pico Iyer wrote that at some point, all the horizontal trips in the world Stop compensating for the need to go deep into somewhere challenging and unexpected. Movement, he says, makes the most sense when grounded in stillness. And these words carry weight, coming from someone like Pico Iyer, who has spent his life traveling the world. He knows that one of the first things you learn when you travel is that nowhere is magical unless you bring the right eyes to see it. And I like his example that if you take an angry man to the Himalayas, soon you find someone who's complaining about the food. So you know that Jon Kabat-Zinn phrase, wherever you go, there you are. Wherever you go, there you are. And so what about this idea of going nowhere and of sitting still? So Iyer recognizes, and so do I, and probably you know too, that this is the way he puts it. It takes courage to step out of the fray, as it takes courage to do anything that's necessary, whether tending to a loved one on her deathbed or turning away from that sugar-coated donut. And with billions of our global neighbors in crying need, with so much in every life that has to be done, it can sound selfish to take a break or go off to a quiet place. But Iyer says that as soon as you do sit still, you find that it actually brings you closer to others in both understanding and sympathy. And the meditative video artist Bill Viola said, "It's the one who steps away from the world, whose sleeve is wet with tears for it." This is the kind of courage that we need to face what's going on in our world right now. Mim has described feeling beleaguered, which is a fancy word for being in a very difficult situation. And I think that all are probably, at least most of us, have felt pretty beleaguered this year. In fact, sometimes I feel so overwhelmed by it all that I don't feel anything. I just feel numb. So the idea that sitting can actually bring me closer to others, closer to tears, that I will emerge from that quiet place with my sleeves wet with tears for the world, that's what I personally feel called to do right now. To see clearly, to allow my heart to melt, to be able to weep with sorrow at all the deaths, the unemployment and hardship, the fear and the hate that seems to be swirling around our world right now. Having the courage to cultivate the art of stillness is to cultivate compassion. I know that some of you courageous people already are cultivating the art of stillness. We have in our community some dedicated meditators and some who are beginning to explore the practice. So every Thursday morning, a group from Namakwa meets to meditate together and to listen to and discuss Buddhist teachings. And the group, by the way, is open, and I recommend that you consider giving it a try. So the organizers of the group are Janan Wright and Susan Moody. So I want to thank you and all you meditators for cultivating this art of stillness. And for the rest of you, you can start simply by just taking a few minutes out of every day to sit quietly and do nothing, to let what is in you rise to the surface and be aware of it. Or you can enjoy a long walk, paying attention and really noticing what's around you, seeing the bare trees and the winter sky, the snow that's outside today where you are. hearing the sound of your own footsteps and the honking of the flocks of geese flying overhead. And remember, you don't have to do it perfectly. Ring the bells that still can ring. Forget your perfect offering. There's a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in. I imagine you might be surprised, as I was, at how something so simple as stillness has the power to change your life. In his TED Talk, Pico Iyer describes what our lives are like in this age of distraction, of information overload. He says it's like we're standing 2 inches away from a huge screen that is noisy and busy and changing every second. And that screen is our life. And it's only by stepping back and then stepping back further and staying still that we can see what the canvas of our life means and catch the larger picture of our life and its meaning. There's a kind of paradox that Iyer discovered, that in the age of speed, nothing could be more invigorating than going slow. And that in an age of distraction, nothing could feel more luxurious than paying attention. And that in an age of constant movement, nothing is more urgent than sitting still. Another paradox is one that is described by that eloquent monk, Thomas Merton. One of the laws of sitting still is that if you enter it with the set purpose of seeking contemplation, or worse still, happiness, you will find neither. For neither can be found unless it is first in some way renounced. So you can't find contemplation or happiness unless you first renounce it. So in stillness, you're not striving for anything in particular. You aren't setting goals. You're simply still, paying attention to your breath, watching the thoughts and feelings that arise, and just simply letting them go. But here is a true example of the magic, the transformative power of stillness. A sustained, regular practice of stillness is what made the French scientist turned monk, Matthieu Ricard, how do you say it? Matthieu Ricard, the happiest man in the world. He became known as the happiest man in the world. So there was an experiment that was conducted by researchers at the University of Wisconsin. And so what these scientists did is they attached 256 electrodes to the skulls of hundreds of volunteers and then put them through a 3.5-hour functional MRI scan to test for positive emotions. And so the subjects, these hundreds of volunteers, were similar in every respect, except that some of them had given themselves over to a regular practice of stillness, and others had not. Ricard's score for positive emotions was so far beyond the average for non-monastic subjects that the researchers felt obligated to conclude that those who had sat still for years had achieved a level of happiness that was quite literally off the charts, unseen before in neurological literature. I say, okay, Pico Iyer, through his little gem of a book, The Art of Stillness, you have persuaded me to renew my regular commitment to a practice of stillness. And I hope I discover, as Leonard Cohen did, that the adventure of going nowhere can get you as wide awake, exhilarated, and pumping hearted as when you are in love. And I figure, since we've been ordered to stay home anyway, what a perfect time to give it a try. May it be so. And now our offering to alternatives of violence. One of the three recipients also for our giving tree. As Arthur reminded us, the work of alternatives to violence is to provide support and resources to people who are being subjected to domestic violence, assault, and human trafficking. So please be generous. Sarah will put the donate button up on the screen. Remember that you can also send your donations to the Giving Tree this way. And so now enjoy Prelude by George Winston. We dedicate ourselves, and these are offerings, to the vision of this congregation, which is to radiate love, peace, and justice as together we work to build beloved community. Thank you. And now, ma'am, if you'll extinguish our chalice. Unmute.
As we extinguish this flame, remember this. When you look at a tree and perceive its stillness, you become still yourself. You connect with it at a very deep level. You feel a oneness with whatever you perceive in and through stillness. Feeling the oneness of yourself with all things is true love.
Remember that this is the day, this is the wonderful moment we have been given. So let us rejoice and be glad in it. And our closing song, It Is Well, by Leah Morris.
Peace like a river attendeth my way. When sorrows like sea billows roll, whatever my lot thou hast taught is well with my soul, with my soul. It is well, it is well with my soul. It is well, it is well with my soul.
So in about an hour or so at 1 o'clock, I hope some of you will join me again for a celebration of life and remembrance of Namakwa member Sharon Reef. I know for myself, I didn't sleep much last night because I felt like Sharon was just present with me. And then we have a series of services. Next week, it will be Fred Schreckinger and I will do a version of Preparing for the Longest Night. And I hope that you saw in the email blast that Margot sent out. And I'm reminding you now to please send me by Wednesday some wishes or things that you want to let go of. So wishes for the coming year or things that you'd like to let go of. And when you send it to me, what it represents is what we would have tied on to the wreath that we decorate together, usually on the Sunday before the winter solstice. So we're adapting to the time of the pandemic, and I hope to receive many wishes and things to let go of so that I'll read them out loud. It'll be anonymous, but I'll read it out loud during next week's service. And then the following night is our holiday service of healing combined with the winter solstice. And I have something very special in mind for this particular holiday service, borrowed from my friend Lydia, who's the minister of the Boulder Valley UU Fellowship. And the idea behind the holiday service of healing is that while we have all this jingling and, well, I don't know, not so much this year, but you know, the holiday spirit, it's like you're expected to be all happy, but it's not happy for everyone, especially people who have experienced losses and it might be their first Christmas without someone who they love. And so we'll come together and help one another heal, not only from personal losses, but it's been a heck of a hard year. And so that will be at 6 o'clock on Monday night. And I think by now you've all heard about the great confluence. So I guess it's Jupiter and Saturn that are moving closer and closer together. And this is not only a chance of a lifetime, it only happens like once every 800 years. So the brightest star, it's not really a star, but the brightest light in the sky will be actually on the winter solstice. So again, I sent something out in the email blast, including Pete Buckmeyer shared a YouTube that you can take a look at to see what it is and how to see it. And then on Thursday is Christmas Eve. And so we'll have two services. Janin is putting together a family Christmas Eve service. And then Kathy Hartman and I are putting together a contemplative Christmas Eve service. And because we can't gather live together in our sanctuary and do our traditional candle lighting ceremony at the end with Silent Night, we will pre-record it, which means that you'll be able to access both of those services at your convenience. And so we'll just imagine one another being together. And I have some really exciting news, which I just received the other day. And for those of you who went to the congregational meeting, you heard that we have this desire. It's been in my heart since I came to Namakwa that we have an intern. And we just found out that we received the grant of what will be essentially half the salary for us to get an intern next year. We got $9,049 so that we can have someone who is aspiring to be a minister come and be with us for the church year of 2021-2022. So the only glitch is that we need to find an intern by March 1st. And so believe me, we will get on this right away. And I'm super excited because I think Namakwa was born to be a teaching congregation. And so we'll help some very lucky intern in their ministerial formation. And so now we will let Sarah divide us up into our breakout rooms for virtual coffee hour. And then again, I hope to see some of you again at 1 o'clock. So take care, everyone.